Welcome back. So, in our last session, we worked through the value form and saw how one specific commodity, gold, gets singled out to become the universal equivalent. It's the mirror where every other commodity sees its own value. Today, we're diving into Chapter 3 to see how this all plays out in the real world. We're moving from the abstract idea of value to its actual function. This is the process of circulation, and it's where every commodity has to prove its worth in the fiery test of the market.
Right, so Marx kicks things off with this fundamental problem that exists in any society with a division of labor. Let's say I'm a weaver. My work is very specific, very concrete, and it's private. But to get the things I need, my private work has to be recognized by everyone else as general, social labor. So here's the puzzle. How does my linen, the physical product of my very specific work, transform into something with universal power, something that can get me any other commodity I want, like a Bible? That's the problem that money is here to solve.
The very first step in this journey is what Marx calls the first metamorphosis. The commodity has to change, not physically, but conceptually. It has to shift from its natural form into its value form. And it's really important to get this. This transformation is purely ideal. It's all in our heads, so to speak. Before a single yard of linen is sold, it first has to be priced. It has to get a money name that says what it's worth in the universal language of gold.
And this really shows that fundamental split inside the commodity. On one hand, you have the physical object, the 20 yards of linen. That's its use value. You can make clothes out of it. But on the other hand, it takes on this value form, a price. Now, the crucial thing to understand here is that the 2 pounds are, at this point, completely ideal. No actual money has changed hands. The price is just a claim. It's a statement saying, this linen is equivalent to this much gold. The commodity is now leading a kind of double life. One is a useful thing, and the other as an ideal price.
So price is what Marx calls the money name of the labor that's been put into a commodity. It's the expression of its value. And if you remember from Chapter 1, value is all about the socially necessary labor time needed to produce something. So when our weaver prices her linen at 2 pounds, what she's really doing is making a claim. She's saying that her private work, her time, is equal to the amount of social labor that's embodied in 2 pounds worth of gold. But for now, it's still just a claim.
And this brings us to one of Marx's most famous phrases, the salto mortale, or the mortal leap. This is the leap from the ideal world of price tags into the real, messy world of exchange. The sale, well, that's the moment of truth. If a buyer comes along and pays the 2 pounds, the linen is sold, and its value is realized. The weaver's private labor has just been validated as social labor. Success! But if no one buys it, the leap fails. The commodity is just a useless object, and all the labor that went into it turns out to have been a waste of time, socially speaking.
Okay, so let's assume the leap was successful. Our weaver's commodity has realized its value as money. This kicks off the second phase of its transformation, which completes the whole circuit of exchange. Marx gives this a formula: commodity, money, commodity, or CMC.
So, this CMC circuit is made of 2 opposite movements. First up, you have C to M, the sale. The commodity, our linen, gets turned into its money form. Its use value goes to the buyer, but its value is realized by the seller. Then you have the second part, M to C, the purchase. The money gets turned right back into a commodity, the Bible. Here, the money is just acting as a means of purchase, letting the weaver get the thing she actually wanted in the first place.
So what's the net result of this whole CMC circuit? It's really just the exchange of one use value for another. The weaver started with something she couldn't personally use, the linen, and she ended with something she could, the Bible. The money was just a middleman. It was a temporary means of circulation that has now disappeared from the weaver's hands. The whole point of this process, CMC, is ultimately about consumption, about getting a use value. It's what Marx calls a kind of social metabolism.
All right, now let's zoom out. We've been looking at one individual exchange, but imagine this happening everywhere, all at once, with all commodities. This brings up a new question. How much actual physical money do we need to keep this whole system going? And this leads us to Marx's ideas about the velocity of money.
Think about that 2-pound coin. It went from the person who bought the linen to our weaver, and then from the weaver to the person selling the Bible. But the money itself hasn't been used up. After helping one exchange happen, it's immediately tossed back into circulation, ready to help out with the next one.
This timeline shows it perfectly. That very same 2-pound coin is making a whole series of transformations possible. First, linen into money, then money into a Bible. But the story doesn't stop there. That same coin then helps turn a Bible's value into money for the Bible seller, who then turns it into wheat, and so on. The money just keeps on moving, acting as a coin that passes from hand to hand, leaving one transaction only to jump right into the next.
And this leads us to a really crucial law of circulation. The total amount of money we actually need is the sum of all the prices of all the commodities divided by the velocity of the currency. That is, the average number of times each coin gets passed along. So the faster the money moves, the less actual cash you need to move the same total value of goods. It's pretty intuitive when you think about it.
So far, money just seems like a really clever technical tool, right? A useful instrument. But for Marx, if we stop here, we're missing the whole point. We have to dig deeper and look at the social meaning that's hidden by the money form itself. What kind of social relationships does this simple-looking mechanism actually create, and what does it hide?
Let's really think about this statement. In its money form, as just 2 pounds, all the real-world differences between the linen, the Bible, the wheat, they're just gone. They're completely erased. Money strips them of their physical bodies and the specific, useful labor that made them what they are. All that's left is a number, their quantity of value. In the world of money, all the different kinds of labor appear as their exact opposite: uniform, identical, abstract human labor. So this is what the money form covers up. The direct human relationship between the weaver and the Bible maker is just gone. It's been cut. Instead, their relationship is now mediated through a thing, money. The weaver doesn't relate to the Bible maker, she relates to 2 pounds. The Bible maker doesn't relate to the weaver, he relates to those same 2 pounds. Their own social connection, as Marx puts it, now confronts them as a social relationship between things. And that is the very essence of commodity fetishism playing out in the real world of circulation.
And here, Marx really drives home his critique of this fetishism. We tend to see the power of money, its amazing ability to buy anything, as some kind of natural, inherent property of gold itself. We think gold is just naturally valuable. But Marx says that's a huge mistake. The power of money is a social power. It only has this power because we've all agreed that it's the objective form of the value relationships between everything else. We're mistaking a specific, historical social arrangement for a timeless, natural quality of a metal.
So we end on this critical question. Money, this universal language of value, is the very thing that makes our complex society and its division of labor possible. But, and this is the key, it only works by systematically hiding the human, qualitative character of the labor that creates that value in the first place. This isn't just an illusion or some kind of trick. It's an objective reality that's generated by the very structure of how we exchange things. For Marx, getting a handle on this objective inversion, where our own social relations appear to us as relations between things, is absolutely fundamental to understanding the entire capitalist mode of production.